Hello everyone, one good morning to all of you and welcome to our YouTube channel on important organization. Today we will discuss and primarily focus on important organization such as G30, G77 and G21. So uh, without delay let's start our discussion and after discussing this lecture, I would like to go back to the previous lecture for the revision purpose. So first, let's focus on G30. So you must know about the G20, okay, and all of us know that name of G20, but there is another name of organization that is G30. So probably it may be a question raised that what does it mean by G30 and in which year it formed. So my dear friends, uh, G30 was formed in 1978. So it's a very important fact, do remember. And G30 main purpose of G30, now it is a non-profit organizations. So you might have heard different organizations that are based on profit and economic and commercial oriented. But in the context of G30, it is a non-profit organizations, right? And how it draw the bring the money or fund. Okay, so it will take the fund from Rockefeller foundations. Okay, so there can be a question that from which foundation the G30 drew the money or draw the money. Now it is Rockefeller foundations. Okay, so it's very important, do remember. Now it's a Rockefeller foundation. Okay, then if we notice that G30 as it formed in 1978, and the objective of the G30 to analyze the financial issues. There are a number of financial issues that exist in national as well as international level. So to analyze the final issues and to help the policymakers to make our on the financial issue to the policymakers. Okay, that the organization main objectives. So this is how two things you have to remember: G30, the year of foundation. Then coming to the G77. So G77, it was formed in 1964. So in which year? Now it was formed in 1964. Very important fact. And the G77, what kind of organizations? Okay, as you know that G21, it's a international organization, consists both developing developed country even underdeveloped country, right? But in the context of G77, my dear friend, it is the organization that primarily based on interest of developing states. Okay, developing states, for instance India, for instance your Africa, South Africa. So the G77, it's a developing, we can say that developing states based on the developing interest of developing states. Okay, and total member in the G77 right now 134 member. Okay, so remember that thing, very important, that 134 member are there in G77. So my dear friend, that why there is a need of such organization that primarily focuses on the interest of developing nation, because it promote, the objective of it to promote south cooperations. Okay, south cooperation and strengthen collective economic interest. Okay, if you carefully observe the historical as well as the contemporary economic structure in the international relation, you probably found that there is a structural inequality exist in the economic order, and to get justice on the behalf of the developing states, there is a organization that come to my mind, that is how the G77, and objective of it to promote south cooperation, to strengthen the collective economic interest. It is not the economic interest of only a nations, but it is a collective interest of economic interest that reflected the wish and need of the global south, or we can say that it's a south south cooperation in which different country from the global south come together, negotiate, collaborate and promote a idea of cooperation that is known as a south south cooperation, and it is possible because of this 77. Then my dear friend, move to the G21. Okay, so you might be consider that it is the G20, and after the inclusion of African Union the G20 became G21. So my dear friend, this is your misconceptions. I will say this is your misconception because G21 is another organization that is known as a Group 21, and it was formed in 2003. Okay, so can you recall that in which your G20 was formed? Okay, it's a homework for you, but I am talking about Group 21 or G21. Okay, so your G21 was formed in 2003, and it is a group of developing country. So another things we need to emphasize that there is a G21, and that G21 organization emphasize on the interest of developing states, or we can say that it is an organization of developing countries. Okay, right? And the major country in the G21 are Brazil, South Africa and India. So this is, you need to remember that major country, year of foundation and the basic purpose of it, and nature of organization, whether it is a developing countries organization, or it is a mix of developed or developing, or it is specially focused on only the developed country. For instance, there is a G7, and that G7 primarily focuses on the interest and wish of developed countries, right? So these are the different organization which starts from the name of G, and it seems to very important when you talk about the international organization, economic structure, south south cooperation, global south cooperation and so on. Okay, so few things you need to remember from this note. I believe this much will definitely helpful for your examination, and you will get definitely a question from this aspect at this point. So with this note I come to the conclusion, and as I said that there will be a revision. So in the last session we have discussed what is Marxism and New Marxism. So Marxism originated in 19th century, New Marxism originated in 20th century. The major idea of Marxism: economic determinism, dictatorship of proletariat and the impact of capitalism. While in New Marxism the major idea: subjective consciousness, humanistic psychology, cultural dynamics, democracy and so on. Major thinker in Marxism: Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels and other also. Then in the New Marxisms we notice or we study Gramsci, Louis Althusser, Habermas. So this is your like a small or a quick revision of the last day class. So on this note we come to the conclusion. I believe this much very helpful for all of you, and do comment, do provide your answer of homework that in which your G20 was formed. With this note I conclude my lecture. I hope this lecture will be helpful for you, and definitely you will get a question from these notes. Thank you everyone. Thank you so much. Jai Jagannath.